welcome to Win, Lose, or Cry, a Maple Leafs podcast. Got a lot to talk about this week. Everyone's seen what's going on in the NHL, but you know what? We're going to start with the games. So we're going to start with the Avs game. James, take us away.
I'm actually going to stop real quick before we talk about the Avs game, because last week we talked to Chase and we said, if the Leafs beat the Avs, will you consider that week a win? So I want to start, before we break into this Avs game, Chase being the Avs fan, if you can't tell from, I don't know, the 3 jerseys behind him, was this week a win for the Maple Leafs? I want to hear all of our opinions. Chase, we'll start with you.
So normally after a week like that, you go 2-2, you pull, 5 points out of possible 8?
Correct.
Or sorry, 3 points out of possible 8. It still works out, but the only reason I'm going to call this a lose or a loss is because of the injuries.
Yeah.
Because now this is going to add turmoil to the season. Normally, I would say, this week, even though the record doesn't show it was a win because you went up against 3 Central teams that are very strong.
Mm-hmm.
Beat my Avs. And you fell 3-0 to Minnesota, and you battled back to force a shootout and narrowly lost that one. So to me, that's a win. And the domination of Columbus, even though the goals they scored were just garbage time, and the Leafs just wanted to get back to the hotel. But having Marner hurt, then losing Dermott, and now Sandin, that's going to hurt the depth of the team. So that's why I'm only saying it's a loss in that sense. But overall, I would still say it's a win for being able to stay that tight with a very strong Central Division and showing that the Leafs are there and they're showing why they're so high in the standings so far.
So, just for the record, are you saying it's a win or a lose? Because you're balancing on that line pretty tightly. So, which way are we leaning? If you got to go one or the other, think about it. Brandon, what's your opinion?
So, I have to think about what we classify as a cry, because it's hard. Because if you think about it, points-wise, win 5 of 8 points. I wouldn't call it a loss, but I'm leaning towards a cry, like Chase said. Marner's out for 3 to 4 weeks. Sandin's out for 3 to 4 weeks. Fucking Jason Spezza is out for 6 games.
So I'm gonna interject. I think a cry is when you lose 7-2 or 7-1 to Pittsburgh.
I get it.
That's a cry.
I totally get that. And that's why I'm leaning towards win, but at the same time you're losing Jason Spezza, who's like part of the heart of the team. He's like the left atrium of the heart. You got Mitch Marner is out for 3 to 4 weeks, who's the puppy of the team. You're losing Sandin, who's been doing great in his role. I'm going to say win with a bit of an asterisk, because that is Jason Spezza and Marner particularly not who you want to lose in a week.
Absolutely not.
So it's a win, but I don't know. It's kind of like you finish an exam and you do good on the exam, but you pee yourself during the exam. Yeah, you did good on the exam, but there's.
I wouldn't say that's.
Speaking of that, are you saying that from first-hand experience?
I had a rough time at university, man.
That's an interesting way to put it, if you were to ask me.
I don't know if I'd go with that analogy, but
yeah,
okay.
That's what I mean.
Did I think of that way too quickly and easily?
A little bit. So I'm gonna go out and I'm gonna say this week a loss for the Leafs. Although they did get 5 of 8 points, we're coming off a 2-week stretch where they let 7 goals in 7 games. And in 4 games, they just let by 16 goals.
Yeah, that's not great.
Right? And that 16 does not count Minnesota shootout win. Mm-hmm. Right? So the 3 goals scored in regulation from Minnesota, plus the Avalanche, Blue Jackets, and Jets. That's 16 goals in 4 games. Coming off of a 2-week stretch where they were 7.
Yes.
So Defensively, I'm going to say it's a loss. So yeah, Chase, back to you. Win or lose?
Yeah, I'm gonna go back to a loss. Just the injuries to me that hurts the depth. And it sucks to see. So, and I know all about injuries so far this year. So
No kidding.
it's never fun to see.
No kidding. Okay, well, you know what? On that note, dive into the Avs game there.
Yeah.
What'd you think of that one?
Can I defer?
So I'll say this: I didn't watch the Colorado.
Oh.
You didn't
Right?
have to watch it.
You could.
But I wish I did.
Yeah, I know.
You kidding me?
Man, great game. For one
So,
side.
For one side, yes. And like the one thing I will say about the Leafs is even like most of the lineup for Colorado was there. The only big change was in morning skate. I don't know what jackass decided to hit Darcy Kemper up high with a shot, which then forced him to miss the next 3. But that sucks when you lose your starting goalie in the morning skate. However, regardless if it's your backup, your third string, or your starter, that game would have gone the exact same way because the Avs came out flat. It looked like by the second period, they just wanted to go get on the bus and go home. There was no effort in the game. And then you look on the Leafs side, it was all effort. They went maximum effort. They were around
100%.
To the end.
Kadri scored with, I think, it might have been like 2 minutes left to make it 8-3.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But even then, like that might have been the most energy I saw in them. Like,
well, and Kadri,
I know
if you saw the goal after Kadri got it, he didn't care that he scored.
No one cared.
No.
Like he put the puck in the net and he's like, all right, change.
Yeah, he put it in. Okay, let's hop on the bus and go home. Or let's hop on the bus and let's go to Montreal now because we need to bounce back somewhere.
And was that his first time playing the Leafs since traded or since moved?
No, he got one game in the year that COVID shut it down before the bubble.
Did he? Okay.
So that was, I think there might have only been a second game back. And he was honestly the only Av that him and Makar would be the only two Avs that I would say that played with full heart that entire game. Yeah. And maybe Logan O'Connor.
McKinnon's assist was nice though.
McKinnon, even if he doesn't try, he still has great points or great plays. So you can't really take it away from him. But either way, the Leafs dominated them. That's all I have to say. Like you can't say anything really about that game. It was a disaster. As for an Avs fan, for a Leafs fan, it's great to see.
So, Brand, I know you watched the game. I didn't watch, but I'll tell you this. Prior to knowing how the rest of the week went, I woke up and thought, this is the first time the Leafs have scored 6 or more goals, I'm pretty sure. Right? Because I think before this, they hadn't scored 6 goals in a game this season.
I don't believe so.
So I woke up and saw the final score. I was awake that night, and I was like, 8 goals, wow, like, look at them. But then I saw 3 goals against. And like I said, this is coming off a stretch of 7 goals against in 7 games. So I was like, all right, I'd kind of justified it, right? I was like, Colorado's a good team. They're high offense. They're high scoring. We kept them to 3.
You can't get mad at an 8-3 win.
Again, this was prior to knowing how the Wild, Jets, and Columbus game went.
In a vacuum, 8-3 win.
Cool.
Yeah.
Even a 4-3 win would have been good. Yeah. Right? Yeah. But yeah, like, I don't have much to say about this game. Again, I didn't watch this one. But so, Brent, I'll toss this one to you. And what did you think of?
Did you see any of the highlights, James? Because Chase, I'm assuming
all
you
of them.
watched it. So
all of them.
First thing, Matthews' first goal. The hands on that man.
I wanted to touch base on that quickly. His wrist is fine.
His wrist is fucking fine.
I know we talked about it last week. After this week, it's fine. We have no worries. Don't worry.
Like,
it's
watching,
good.
Again, because this game, Matthews got a hat trick. And the first 2 goals were dirty in front of the net. I'm like, oh, yeah, Matt, or was it maybe first or second go through goal? I'm not sure. But the 2 goals were like, oh, he's got great hands, but they're in front of the net. And then there's the patented snipe shot. I'm like, oh, there it is. Okay, wrist might be okay. And like you said, the rest of the week he keeps doing that. I'm like, you must have heard the podcast and wanted to prove me wrong. I see.
That's what it was.
You know
You're
what it
right.
was? The mustache.
Shaving it, game 1 without it.
Well, dude,
It was too greasy.
he turned into a. As soon as it was gone, he went from friggin' awesome superstar to friggin' monster. He almost had another hat trick the other night. He almost had 2 in a week.
Yeah, 2 in Columbus last night.
Yeah, and he almost got the empty netter twice. He would have had the hat trick.
Yeah, I don't like players shooting for an empty net
From what?
from their own end. When players shoot for the empty net from their own end, I don't like that.
I agree. I'm just saying he had those 2 good goals, and he could have easily gotten the hat trick there because they had a good amount of time.
I'd say he had 1 good goal.
Oh.
I wouldn't say his first goal last night was a good goal. I would say it was a goal.
Okay, he got a goal, but still, he got 2 goals. He almost got a hat trick he got a hat trick the other day. Like, fantastic game by him. Spezza had a really dirty goal, and I'm gonna say this a lot this week. Like last week, Richie was there with a good assist on it. I like that. I don't know. I found that the second period, the Avs were played okay in the second period. The Leafs were giving a lot of turnovers. They had the lead, and they felt like they were giving the puck away a lot, and then they turned it back on in the third.
Well, the Avs was, if I remember correctly, the Avs scored 1 at the end of the first.
Yeah, with 0.3 seconds left.
And then they put a second one in early in the second period, right?
And then
to put it 3-2.
3-2.
Yeah, because that's what it was. Like they had a 3-goal lead, and then the Avs caught up to make it 3-2, and then they kind of woke back up. So the start of that second period wasn't that great. I have it written down. They were doing a couple of defensive breakdowns, a couple of giveaways that I wasn't really liking. One thing I'd like to mention, do you remember 2 weeks ago I talked about Michael Bunting and how he was leading the league in penalties drawn, or second place in penalties drawn?
He was first place, yep.
Yeah, so he hasn't drawn a penalty since.
Up until that game.
But yeah, up until the game that we're going to talk about in a little bit. But he hasn't drawn any penalties since up until that point, and I don't even call that a drawn penalty, but we'll get to it. And there was a couple of opportunities where he should have drawn penalties, so just something to keep in mind. And I'm noticing it; they're not drawing penalties on him anymore as much.
You can say the same thing to multiple players in NHL.
I know. Something I saw, and I mentioned it 2 weeks ago, and since then they hadn't drawn a penalty on him. Like, a little weird. Yeah, that's about all I have to talk about for that game. The only other thing is what we were saying earlier. What you were saying, Chase, was that the Leafs played the whole game like good, like all the way through, and they didn't stop. Engvall looked like he was playing in a friggin' playoff Game 7 to get that 8th goal. It's like,
and you know what? That was a good goal.
It was. It was just funny seeing someone try that hard when you're winning 7-2.
Yeah. I agree, but you know what? Like, it wasn't like it was a dirty. Like, it was a good goal.
I am not saying anything bad about that goal, and I'm like, if you're to try that hard at the end of the game, do it. Like, don't take your foot off the gas. That's what we keep saying. The announcers mentioned it, and I thought it was kind of funny too. I'm like, dude, he's playing like playoff hockey.
Yeah, let the other team have it.
Yeah.
Well, the other thing too, because Engvall's goal was a shot from the sideboards and went short side, wasn't it?
Yeah.
There was 2 like that happened in the third period where I personally thought Jonas Johansson should have had.
That was
because you should, as a goalie, you should never be beaten short side, especially if the player's a left-handed shot coming down the left boards, because he's got nowhere else to shoot other than the left side. But either way, the Leafs played an unbelievable game. Colorado they got outplayed.
Next time they play again soon, if I'm correct.
Back in Colorado too, so the altitude will be a bit of a factor for the Leafs.
But that's going to be good. How do you think that game will go? Because that's January 8th. How do you think that game will go?
I think it's going to be close. I think it's going to be a lot tighter than what the 8-3 game was, because the Avs will be, or knock on wood, they should be fully healthy by then.
Yeah.
And being back home, it helps them, because playing in the altitude, a lot of teams that come in have a hard time adjusting to it. So hopefully that benefits Colorado on that end.
Yeah, because they did not look prepared and ready to go. So
sometimes you just lay an egg.
And that's what it could have been.
In the words of Letterkenny, sometimes you get speed bagged. It happens. So you just got to put your head down, go to the next game.
Yeah. Seeing as James is gone, he just disappeared. Do you want to start on the Minnesota game, or you want me to start on the Minnesota game?
I think I can start on the Minnesota game. I didn't get to watch the actual game, but I watched the highlight pack. I was in Ottawa to see the Avs game on Saturday.
Okay, you know what? Before we move on, how was that?
Disappointing. Drive 5 hours. So pumped. Got my McCarr jersey on, ready to see McKinnon, Landeskog, Rantanen, Kadri, all the big guns. I look in warm-ups. There's McCarr. He's flying around. Starting lineups get announced. McCarr's out. Upper body. Kadri out. Upper body. Kemper still out of the lineup. So now we're down to... what was it, 11 forwards and 6D?
Hey, buddy, what's
yeah?
Are you downloading or streaming or something? Because you're
not at all.
Your camera and your audio is getting a little choppy.
It could just be somewhat of the bandwidth on this side. Who knows? But either way, the Ottawa game, it was good. Like they went down 5-2, they crawled back to 5-5, forced overtime, but unfortunately. Without having the weapons there, it's hard.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
But it is what it is. Yeah. Like it was a good game to be there and watch and experience. So
it's always fun to be in the building.
And going to a game and seeing go to overtime is awesome.
Oh, it's always great.
Oh, it's
right.
wicked.
Like I saw it Capitals versus New York a couple years beginning of last year. Went to overtime, and fortunately Capitals won. Ovi scored the overtime win. 6-5 game as well. It was an awesome experience.
Oh, that's a great game to go to.
It was probably the best hockey game I've ever.
Really?
To be honest, yeah. Like it was probably the best I've ever seen.
3-on-3 overtime, like going to see OHL and then seeing it in the NHL, like it's night and day different. So it's always exciting because you're constantly watching these guys go all the way around. So
yeah,
it was wicked. But
yeah.
Anyway,
but back to the Minnesota game.
Yeah, Chase, start us off on the Minnesota game.
I thought it was a pretty even game. Like it went back and forth. The first period, Minnesota I think came out with just a little bit quicker than Toronto, just caught them off guard. One thing that I've noticed this past week from seeing highlights and watching the Avs game, you guys can correct me if I'm wrong because I don't see the Leafs as much. It's looking like Campbell's having a little bit of rebound control in the sense where they're coming off a little bit quicker. They're coming off bigger into the more dangerous areas where prior to the beginning of the year, he was kicking them to he got into the corners, got him into safer spots. So that's one thing I just kind of focused in on. I thought Talbot played a little better in that game than Campbell, but Campbell again was still standing on his head.
Oh yeah.
I can't really say that because it was the highlights they were wicked to watch going back and forth. Like it just seemed like no team wanted to give up that extra inch. Mm-hmm. And it became just a high-flying, wide-open offensive game where the goaltenders ended up standing on their head.
I would like
Kaprizov shootout winner.
Oh yeah, it was good.
Gorgeous.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I don't know.
No.
I was gonna say I was wondering what your guys' opinion on putting Kasha in as the first shootout shooter.
Well, okay, so you put that in our group chat. Who would you have rather had? If you had to choose 3 shooters for the Leafs, who would be your 3?
At the time, that's the thing. So normally,
right? I don't care about normally.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? Marner wasn't in the lineup.
Marner wasn't in the lineup. Jason Spezza left because he took a hit. It was a hit he took a hook to the hand. Very late in the game. So. I guess Kasha, because Tavares isn't really known for having sick shootout skills.
Neither is Spezza.
Spezza's known as a good shootout guy.
I didn't.
I'd
have to look into it. I wouldn't have known.
Because I remember it was last year or the year. last year or the year before, and it was like their first shootout once they had Spezza, and then I thought the same. I'm like, why the hell Spezza in the shootout? And then I looked up his highlights, and now it's like, oh, it's known for his shootouts. And I'm like, oh, he's actually good at shootouts. He is.
Good to know.
But he wasn't available, so I get. But Kasha doesn't have many goals. Correct me if I'm wrong. I don't think he has many this year. And
he doesn't. But look at the line. He's playing with David Camp.
Yeah.
And again, like I said earlier, they could have changed from that. But they have taken 91% of their faceoffs.
Yeah, in the defensive zone.
There's a reason he doesn't have many goals.
Yeah.
It's because he's on a line that's meant to prevent goal.
Yeah, I guess I don't know about. I haven't seen him in an offensive role really on this team. So having him, especially the first shooter, like
and realistically, you hold your best shooter for second.
Why?
Right. That's because the second shooter can kind of dictate how things go. Because if the opposing team misses their first shot, and you miss your first shot as well, it gives the second shooter, like, do I need to score this? If I miss this, can the next guy take it? Okay. You never put your third shooter third, or your best shooter third, because by that point the game could be over.
Okay.
If the first two guys score for the opposing team, by the time the third shooter comes, if the Leafs haven't scored one of the first two, the game's automatically over. But you never put your best shooter first, because you don't want that pressure put on.
Right. Okay.
You always go best shooter second.
Okay. Just wanted to see what your guys' take on that was.
Yeah, I you know what, with the players available, I agree with putting Kasha first. I think.
I'm sorry
just
to interrupt you, Chase. I was just curious.
Yeah, no, but just to throw in quick, I just looked it up. Spez's shootout percentage, he's converted on 52% of his opportunities. So he's actually really good. It's just because he's got the long stick and that quick release. Mm-hmm. I was trying to find Kasha, but I don't think he has enough attempts.
And he's got 1,200 games playing.
So 52% on 1,200 games, that's pretty damn good.
No. Saying they only brought shootouts in recently.
Okay, well, for his career, he's been there since shootouts. So since they were put in, so that's pretty damn good. 52%.
But he wasn't necessarily always a shootout player. Would he have been?
They used him quite a bit when it all started up because again, like when things started there, I think the shootout came in just after the lockout in 2005, if I remember correctly.
Is that when they brought it in?
Pretty sure.
No.
Yeah, that's when all the rules changed after the lockout.
I'm gonna look that up because I honestly can't. I don't know.
Pretty sure it's 04 or 05, and at that point he was still an absolute stud for Ottawa. And then when he went to Dallas, there was still some opportunities. But Kasha, he's got underrated hands and an underrated shot. So for him to go first, it makes perfect sense. The only thing I would have probably shifted to, I might even looked at Morgan Riley to go first, just because surprisingly a lot of D, they have some solid moves that they don't get to show off.
Well, he scored. He had a wicked deke goal a couple games ago. He went through.
Yeah,
it was last week. I remember James talked about it. It was like it wasn't when he was on the power play, and we mentioned
it wasn't. No, he had a toe dragon.
It was still more of a toe drag. It was still nice. Like I'm like, oh, he's got hands.
Yeah, he did. Yeah. He did that against Edmonton a number of years ago. Where I think it was in overtime, where he walked through 3 or 4 people, pulled the toe drag, and scored the game. The game winner. Yeah, I think Michael was actually at that game. I think my brother was at the game. If I remember, it was like a 6-5 win. 5-4. It was insane, but I think he was at that game.
Shootouts came into the league in 2005, 2006.
Yeah,
so right after that
I just read that post-lockout. Yeah.
Yeah.
Man,
but, yeah.
We're old.
Yeah. Because I still remember, Marty St. Louis going in the shootouts and doing the move where he spun backwards, spun forwards, and then there was the spinorama that Ribeiro did, and was it Yuri Lehkonen from Dallas? He had the one-handed moves, a lot of different stuff from how it started. Merrick Malik going between the legs over top of Oleg Holzig.
I think we can all agree, though, not see a better shootout from a team that has not made the playoffs. And let me rephrase that.
Yeah.
The best shootouts I've ever seen come from a team who are out of a playoff spot.
Oh yeah, because they're just doing stupid shit.
Yeah.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
Remember the Leafs a number of years ago? It was like they were out of a playoff spot for a long shot, and they're like, "Screw it, let's put these guys in."
Yeah, 'cause it's
and the
fun.
3 players were like, "What's the wildest thing I can do with the puck?" And
And
let's
the other thing
do
too
it.
is like they're throwing out there. Okay, let's see what these guys can do for next year. Because who we're gonna keep? Who do we want?
Yeah.
Give it,
So-
go for it.
That's what I mean. If a team's not going to make the playoffs, they're the best shootout team to watch because they do not care if it goes in or not. They're going to go for it.
Oh yeah.
Unless it's Patty Kane, then you want to watch that guy 24/7.
Well, he's like watching Datsuk back in the day, right?
Oh, I know.
No matter what he did, it was incredible.
It was going in.
Yeah.
James, you got anything to say about that game?
Wild game?
Yeah.
I mean, Leafs fought back pretty hard. Jason Spezza was kind of like the highlight, the star of that team.
He just
I'm not gonna lie, I don't remember anything after the third period or like halfway through the third period. I put Proline on that game.
Oh, that's right.
And I just I was jumping between 3 games at once, and everything was going on,
And you got ripped off.
and yeah, we're not going to talk about it because it's absolutely stupid, the rules of Proline. But yeah, I was too focused on holy shit, I'm about to win $1,400 on a $2 bet, and then apparently a tie is not a tie unless it goes to shootouts. So.
Yes.
But no, I want to say Leafs played a fantastic second half of the game, like second period on. Kind of slow to come out in the first period, but the fact that it went to a shootout surprised me. Because when the game, if it was 2-0 or 3-0 at the end of the first,
3-0.
3-0.
3-0. See, I expected the Leafs to get slaughtered. Yeah, like when we predicted the games for this week, last week, I said Leafs were going to beat Colorado, beat Jets, and beat Columbus, but I said they were going to lose to the Wild. And I thought the Wild were going to put an absolute beating on them, so when I saw 3-0 in the first, I was like, yeah, this is what I expected. And then the team and Spezza stepping up big in the second kind of surprised me. And the fact they went to overtime, like, hey, we got a point out of it. It's a loss technically, but I was expecting us to get destroyed. Like, I was expecting like a 6-1 final.
It helps when the Leafs come out and put 20 shots up in the second.
Yeah.
Okay, but the Wild put 22 shots up in the third.
Well, the Wild
Yeah, well,
don't
he
have
also
Jack
got-
Campbell.
Yeah, if it wasn't for Campbell or
And
Talbot,
but Talbot played a good
He did,
game.
but Campbell,
I thought Talbot played better than Campbell, and personally, from what I saw.
How dare you?
Speaking the truth as a goalie.
Talbot only saved 2 more, or Campbell only saved 2 more shots than Talbot did.
I know, but I'm just like, especially at the end of the game in the third, they should have scored, and Campbell made like 3 highlight reel saves at the very end, like the very end of the third period.
Talbot also made 2 or 3 big saves near the end of overtime that kept that game going to a
Yeah,
shootout.
fair.
Yeah, it's a good point.
Also,
Yeah.
I do want to keep in mind, the Leafs kind of should have won that game. I mean, 2 of the goals the Minnesota scored were kind of fluky.
But a goal is a goal.
It is, but definitely.
Right. So next time they play each other, that's why I asked Chase about the next Colorado. Like, what do you think? So the next Wild game, what do you think will happen? Right? Because the Wild, if I'm double checking, the Wild are in first place, aren't they, for their division?
First in the Central.
Yeah, they're first in their division. So it wasn't a fluky game for the Wild.
I'm just saying.
And they were like that was their 6th win in a row.
Yeah. I'm not saying Minnesota's bad. I'm just saying 2 of their 4 goals were fluky. One of them was a pass that bounced off a skate and then went in, and the other one bounced off the ref and went right onto Foligno's stick, and then he shot. Like,
So then, what do you think they'll beat the Wild next game?
well, we'll see where we're sitting at. Like, I can't tell right now. Like, I'm not sure how the Leafs are gonna be playing in a couple months.
Well,
Right? It's hard to say.
based off that game, do you think the Leafs will beat the Wild next time?
I think the Leafs should be beating the Wild.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's what I was looking
Like,
for.
not spanking them, but beating them.
Okay.
Yeah.
They're 8. The Wild are 18-6-1.
Damn.
They're tied for third in the league.
It's good.
Yeah. Tied for fourth.
Something to
Tied
bring,
for fourth
something to
in the
bring
league.
up that we didn't.
Okay, I saw that.
I got two things to mention about this game before we move on. One, before this game, we heard that Mitch Marner and Jake Muzzin got into a collision at practice. And at the time, we didn't know this, but Mitch Marner is out 3 to 4 weeks with an upper body injury, undisclosed.
Yeah.
Potentially, they said some people were mentioning concussion, but it's like all hearsay right now. I'm not sure. I know that Chase, you saw it. James, we were telling you about it before the podcast. We saw Muzzin and Mitch yelling at each other. Like, it was definitely, it wasn't a, Muzzin didn't hit him, but like they collided because Muzzin wasn't in the right spot, I guess. So that's not great. And that was right before this game. And the second thing I want to mention, and it's the first in a series of things I'm going to talk about with the freaking reffing, was Foligno full-on tackling Campbell in the blue paint. No call.
So that one's a little different because he can't. Foligno has the right to come across the crease. Did he come too close? Yes. Should have been goal interference.
Yes.
You could give 2, but there has been multiple teams that have been screwed over by that same call. So,
but I'm just saying I wasn't throwing my pitchfork in the air for that one, but it was a start. It's the first in many things that I want to talk about with the officiating this week. Because that's not a good call. That no call is not a good call. There's no excuse of, the ref missed it. Literally, the puck's there and it's clear as day. Went right through him in the blue paint. That's a goalie interference call. There's no arguing.
I can't remember. Does Foligno try to turn his body at all?
No. He goes right. Like, he could have maybe moved and clipped him in the arm or something, but he just went through him.
No, he didn't. No, he didn't.
I watched it before this. At least that's my opinion.
He
I could
did.
be wrong, but
Foligno definitely cut through the middle, but he put most of his weight on the leg that wasn't against Campbell.
Then that's why there was no call, because he makes an attempt to avoid the contact.
He absolutely made an attempt to pull off his weight and not drive straight through Campbell.
Well, I'm not saying it was a deliberate beaning of the goalie, but he hit him hard enough that should have been a goalie interference call.
And he hit him in the leg.
By the definition,
he
if he makes the attempt,
leg,
it's not a penalty.
sure.
Sorry, what, Chase?
By definition, if he makes the attempt to get out of the way, it is not a penalty.
All right.
It becomes incidental contact and the play should be blown dead right there. But it's not a 2-minute penalty for goal interference.
Okay.
Yeah. It was an iffy one.
That was an iffy one. It could go either way, but in my opinion, that should have at least been a 2-minute. Especially because that could have hurt Campbell, and that would have, if Campbell gets hurt, we're completely fucked.
Yes.
Yeah, but I could see it not being called if it didn't get called, so I wasn't screaming about it. But I'm like, that's kind of stupid. That should have been a call. That's, not angry about it, but kind of I kind of wanted a call there. But just something to start off what we're going to be talking about in the next game.
I don't think it was worth it, to be honest. It was bad to see, but I don't think it's a call, to be honest.
Okay.
I don't.
That's fair. That's just my opinion. So.
Yeah. Let's dive in to the Jets game.
Let's dive into the Jets game.
The Jets game's the fun game.
Oh,
Jets game's the game that everyone talks about. And I don't know if Brandon, correct me if I'm wrong. I think the one thing, Leafs fans are always divided, right? Do we like Mitch Marner? Do we not like Mitch Marner?
Yeah.
Do we like Campbell? Do we not?
I think that
Do we
one
like-
everyone
do we
likes
like-
Campbell.
Do we like Dubas? Yeah, but prior to the season, kind of iffy. I was iffy at least.
Yeah.
Do we like Dubas? Do we not like Dubas? There's a lot of split tension.
Fair.
I think the one thing that every Leaf fan, correct me if I'm wrong, can agree on, nobody cares what the final score of that game.
No.
Nobody I've talked to cares
Don't give a shit.
what the final score of that game was.
After
They lost 6-3,
After that
but who
first
cares?
period, that wasn't the story anymore.
No.
Wasn't the story.
Well, the second period wasn't horrible.
Uh,
It wasn't good.
You know what I'm kind of like thinking of, right? Like the first period was like regular hockey game, and then partway through that second, it turned.
Yeah.
Right around the time that Dubois rode Matthews like a bull.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it didn't get any
Oh no,
any call for
no,
it.
No, they got a call for it. They got offsetting
He-
because because it's a 2-minute minor to try and get somebody from
So
attaching themselves
no,
to you.
Matthews
didn't.
was holding a stick before everything happened.
no, he was
No,
not.
he was not.
Just before going to the corner, he was.
No, not.
Chase.
You can't watch
I
that
watched
play.
Chase.
I watched that highlight on the TSN Leafs broadcast, and even Ray Ferraro said he was holding the stick just before.
Chase, you watched that. I think it's like a 15-second thing. And
Oh, I
that
saw
should be,
it.
and that
Dubois
should be
should have had
offsetting
4.
minors.
Dubois should have had 4, and if you're going to give Matthews anything, give him 2, but Dubois should have had at least 4.
Dubois
2
should
for
have had
roughing,
4, and Matthews
and
should have
2
had
for
nothing.
undercutting.
Matthews
He
held.
was
Matthews
holding the
holding
stick
him
in the corner beforehand.
Matthews is holding him at the very end, trying to fucking pull him off, and they were going at it with each other beforehand a little bit, and it's something that you would normally ignore, which is fine, right? They're just being dicks to each other. But the second he's wrapped around Matthews' neck,
Okay. Matthews held his stick after he got pushed face first
Yes.
into the.
yes,
I'm
just-
going
I just-
back even before that into the corner. Even before they start wrestling in, before Dubois decides
So,
to.
so you're
Right,
saying
go.
that holding someone's stick gives them the right to absolutely ragdoll
No.
them around the ice?
I'm not saying that gives Dubois any right to do it. I'm just saying the reason why he was given 2 minutes as well was because there was a hold in the stick. It wasn't offsetting for roughing and roughing.
it was.
Matthews got
He didn't get holding. He got roughing.
Didn't get holding. He got roughing.
Then
He
the clip that I
stood
saw,
up.
they fucked up.
No, he
But I would've
stood up
given-
and got a roughing call.
The official thing is,
I would have
is
given
2 minutes for
one.
roughing
I would have
each.
given. Yeah, but I would have given Matthews 2 minutes for holding the stick, but then Dubois gets 4. So that way the Leafs still come ahead with the power play.
And also Brandon, that happened in the third period, not the
That was the
second.
third. Okay, my bad.
It was
I just-
it was 5 minutes into the third.
Okay, I thought some stuff was happening. I remember the second was starting to get rough, so I got my timings off a little bit.
And
But
then was that the 4-on-4 that led to Pionk
Yes.
hitting Sandy?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right.
So-
So that should have been Matthews should not have gotten a penalty.
absolutely not.
Right? Whether they called him for holding, I would have to go back and see more than what they show in the highlight clip
Yeah.
because they only show Pierre-Luc Dubois shoving Matthews' face into the ice.
In the
they
box
don't
score,
show
in the box
the
score,
hole.
it was 2 minutes offsetting both of them for roughing.
Yeah.
So as I said, it should have been. If you go further back into before they come out of the actual corner, he was holding the stick when I don't know if he was pinned up against pinned Dubois up against the boards or whatnot. The way I would have looked at it would have been 2 for holding the stick, but then Dubois gets 2 for roughing, 2 for unsportsmanlike. So the Leafs still come out ahead with the power play, but then you're taking 1 and 1 for 2 different infractions to try to curb everything.
No, but instead the ref is literally
Instead, they kick
watching.
2. Yeah.
The ref is
No,
watching.
and
He's like,
And it happened right beside the ref.
yeah, he was
Yeah,
watching.
the ref literally stood over top watching, going,
Interesting.
someone should call a penalty here.
This
Someone,
I don't know why he didn't
oh,
blow
that's
the
my
whistle.
job.
this is wrestling.
He should have blown the whistle the minute the puck started going out of the zone and got into, was it Winnipeg's offensive zone?
Yeah.
Yeah.
because
that's when the whistle goes.
And, like, you wanna talk about
play was
holding?
in Winnipeg zone, and they were just Dubois just sitting on top of Matthews. Literally, he's like teabagging Matthews' shoulder, and they're like, no call. What are you talking
And when you want to talk about holding, you can see Dubois holding the back of his shoulder blade. Like, he's holding him, picking him up, and pushing him down.
And it's not like
He
did it for a split second, let go. No, for like a solid 10 seconds.
He had a solid hold on his shoulder pads, pushing him around, pulling him, pushing him, pulling him, pushing him. Like, Matthews was defenseless there.
Oh, but no.
And what I would have done,
that's even, man. That's totally even. Matthews did just as much.
If I was the ref at that point, I would have thrown a flag for 15 yards for horse collar tackle, and then move the puck down the ice. Because I've seen worse, or I've seen less of a horse collar in the NFL, CFL, college get a penalty than what was thrown there. So it was wild. Like
I'm like, are you going to do your job? Are you just like, is this fun for you? Are you like a WWE fan? You like the wrestling part? Like,
well, the worst thing for me when I first saw it, and like I knew what was going on, I knew where the play was. I had thought the ref had already started creeping out of the defensive zone, and was watching the play in front of him. Then when I actually saw a bit of a wider screen, I saw the ref skate in to watch what was happening.
He's just sitting there watching.
What is going on?
Like,
hey, Lions, you got to break this up,
dude. You guys got to see this. You got to see this shit. Like, pretty ridiculous, man. Oh my god. Well, that's how that's how this game. That was the first thing about this game.
That's not even the highlight of what happened.
Talk about goals? I don't think so. Like,
talk about what?
Are you going to talk about goals in this game? I don't think so.
I will say this much:
right.
The next time the Leafs and Jets play each other, I'll put money down that the Leafs absolutely slapped them.
March 31st.
Yeah, I know. I think the Leafs. I think they walk out of that game dominant.
Oh, also,
kind of like an Avalanche repeat. Like, I'm thinking like 7-2, 8-3. Just they're gonna put the boots to them. It's gonna be.
I think it's gonna be a tight game because it's gonna be a lot of jarring, a lot of fights. It won't be a blowout.
So I disagree for a couple reasons. One, people are gonna be watching this game for penalties, for fighting, for the dirty plays. That's gonna be on high alert. Secondly, the Leafs hit like 3 or 4 posts that game that could have gone in that went out. And they scored 3 goals, plus 3 or 4 posts. And the Jets scored 6 goals, 3 of which were good goals, 3 of which were kind of iffy. So you put someone who's not Joseph Woll playing his 4th NHL game in. You put Campbell, who's hot, with a team that's ready to win. I think they can absolutely dominate the Jets.
And Winnipeg Winnipeg should have been more penalized.
Well, I just want to step in to one on James' comment there. I honestly think Wall played actually better than Hellebuck through that entire game. When I saw the stuff that Hellebuck was giving up and the rebounds he was given and the way he was tracking the puck, Wall played better.
Yeah, except for the goals he let by.
The main one I will say that he hands down should have had was the one that slipped 5-hole.
Yes.
That one he has to have.
Second goal.
The second one it probably was the one where he was still on his feet and got beat over his shoulder. He leaned a little bit too much to his glove side, cheating short side. A lot of goalies will do that. Because Matthews, the way he beat Hellebuck over the shoulder, same kind of thing.
So right there, the score went from 6-3 to 4-3.
Yeah. But the whole thing is though, when you're giving up all those odd man rushes that the Leafs did,
then they gave a lot.
They played like crap.
You can't have that because your goalie's gonna tire out, and there's gonna be moments of lapse, especially a rookie. Like, you got to give him a little bit of extra support, but you can't just allow them to keep coming down 3-on-2s, 2-on-1s, 3-on-1s. It's gonna kill them. It's just too much. But the one thing I did like about what Wall did was, regardless of what goal went in, the next opportunity came down. You didn't see him retreat back into his net. He came out. He was cutting down the angle. So the confidence is there for the kid. He's just got there's some polishing around around those rough edges, and he's gonna be good.
I don't blame him, dude. Like, James, they played
Hey,
terribly defensively in the first. And second.
I watched the game.
Yeah.
I agree. However, I'll be excited when Mrazek's back.
I don't know about that, man. Like he hasn't
Wall's
played.
better than Mrazek.
He's played one game, and he's incredibly
Wall's
injury prone. And well, he's in the AHL right now. So like I don't know.
Yes, he is.
Has he played a game in the AHL yet?
Mrazek? Yeah.
How'd he do?
Well, no, not for the Leafs, but he spent time with Detroit's farm club in Grand Rapids.
No,
he spent
I meant like now, like in present.
I'm
day.
not
he hasn't
sure.
played. He
Because he
hasn't
got
played a
sent
game.
down the Marlies for conditioning. I'm not sure if he's played a game yet.
I'm not sure how he's done there yet.
Because remember what happened with Anderson last year? He wasn't ready. They put him down to the Marlies for conditioning, and he couldn't play. He sucked. Obviously, he's better now.
It's a
but it's
different
not
speed.
I'm just saying he needed time to heal. Mrazek had 2 groin injuries. He says he's good. Is he good? Is he like good enough to play, or is he good enough to play well? There's a big difference.
The fact is, the nice thing with the way Wall's been playing, it's given the Leafs an opportunity to let Mrazek sit a little longer.
Yeah.
It's not like with Hutchinson before, where it's like rush this guy back in now.
Yeah.
Wall's been playing well enough that okay, you know what? Take an extra week. You can handle a couple more games.
Yeah, he's 3-1.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think they should bring Mrazek back until the new year. Let him have the Christmas break off.
I disagree. I disagree.
I'd say let him back in. Have him play 2 games with the Marlies and bring him back up.
Yeah,
I'd play him January or I'd play him December 23rd.
At the
It's their next back.
No,
it's their
at
next
the
back to back.
At the Young Guns game. That's the Young Guns game. I wouldn't play him then.
Okay, fine. Play him the 22nd.
Play
him on the first? Play him on the first half of the back to back.
Yeah.
Play Wall and the Young Guns, and give Campbell the weekend off or the 2 days off. Let him have the Christmas break.
We got the points right now, so you might as well.
What's the stronger team in that back to back?
Who are they playing, James?
Yeah.
I can't.
If you don't worry about it.
So no, I got it right here.
Okay.
The third is the Blues.
Okay.
And I'm wrong. I'm sorry.
Nice.
It's 18-19. Sorry. I'm looking at the Avalanche. The Avalanche played 22nd.
Okay.
Yeah, they're
Avalanche. So, sorry. The Leafs are 18-19, which is Canucks on the 18th and the Kraken on the 19th.
Oh, so you could play both back.
They're on the Western Strip, right? Because they go Oilers, Flames, Canucks, Kraken.
So the Leafs get that. Campbell gets that weekend off.
I play Campbell in Calgary and Edmonton.
Yes.
And then you sit him for the next 2.
Yeah.
Yep.
And you let Mrazek take one and Wall take one because he can flip a coin.
Yeah, for the Canucks Kraken, you put in your backups.
I'd be putting Mrazek in on the 18th.
Okay.
Let Wool keep playing the back-to-backs. If you're paying $3.5 million Mrazek,
yeah, true.
You give him the first game.
We'll see how he does in the Marlies in the next week or so. See if he's.
We will.
Yeah.
We will. But I don't give up faith on him, Brandon.
I don't have faith in him because I haven't seen him do anything yet. So I need to see him do something.
How can you have zero faith in a guy you haven't seen play?
Well, that's the thing. Like, it's not like
There's a reason he's getting paid how much money he is. Look at his career. Look at his stats. He's a good goaltender.
James, I get it, but I haven't seen him do anything yet. So I need to see him
That's
play
fine.
Before I he's good.
What's his name coming up? Is it Sean Wright?
Shane Wright.
Shane Wright. Is he supposed to be good, Brandon?
I don't know.
Oh, okay.
I'll answer that. He's supposed to be unreal.
All right.
He is unreal.
I'm just saying.
Absolutely insane.
Groin injuries are not
Stupidly
great. He's
insane.
had 2 bad groin injuries this year. I haven't seen him play. Well, when he did play, he was not good. So he kind of has to.
Yeah. Neither was the team.
Fair. So I need to see him play well before I have confidence in him, right? Like I don't have blind faith in the guy because the only thing I've seen from him is him getting injured and losing.
He won a game. Don't forget that he won. Yes, he did.
Halloween.
He's 1-1.
Right. He's 1-1.
He's won one game and he's lost one game.
Fair.
right? And he won that game he won that game
Complete.
right after they barely beat the Blackhawks. So the team was not doing well, and he won. Joseph Woll won 3 games while the Leafs were playing absolutely fantastic. And then they had a lull, had a couple bad games. Woll played in one of those games and got absolutely lit up.
Okay.
But I'm
He
not,
did.
Easy on the
You-
absolutely.
I wouldn't say he
He-
got absolutely lit up.
6 goals. 6 goals is lit up. 3, yeah, you're doing all right. You're talking about a team that's coming off 7 goals in 7 games.
Yeah.
That's the team you're talking about. You're not talking about a team that averages 3 goals against a game. You're talking about a team that averages 1 goal against, and they let up 6. He got absolutely lit up.
Yeah,
Did he
but
play
there
a bad
was-
game? I'm not saying that. I mean, the Jets had 41 shots on net. They were a high shooting
But
team.
didn't we also say that this game we don't care about the final score and who if we won or not?
From the
When you're looking
goalie's
at this
perspective,
side,
yes, you have to. Right? As an overall for the season team, no, you don't. But when you're talking about a rookie goalie in his 4th NHL game, possibly taking over the backup goalie position, yes, now you do have to look at the score of the game.
I get that,
Yeah,
but I'm just in my from what I saw, the Leafs stopped playing hockey and stopped helping him, and it just turned into a brawl. So he didn't get help in the first period. He didn't get help in the second period. He didn't get help in the third period. Third period they were busy brawling. First, second period they sucked.
They're busy brawling, but they still played hockey.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
like they not
Like-
well.
Like
Defensively, not well.
the only thing is, I wouldn't say he got absolutely lit up. I understand where James comes from. He got lit up and he didn't get some help. But when I think of absolutely, I'm thinking 8 and above, even 7 and above. 6 is kind of like one of those balancing ones
is
where
not
it's
good. 6 is not good.
6 is
but
not good.
But the team in front of him
But-
was not interested in playing hockey
Yes.
that night.
The Maple Leafs have only scored 6 or more goals once the entire season, and you're talking about a highly offensive. I would consider 6 being lit up.
That's fair.
No, I'm agreeing with you. 6 is lit up, but not absolutely lit up.
Like yeah.
I think it is.
I'm
I
just talking
think-
from a goalie standpoint, so I'm a little biased because I've had a lot of 6-goal games in my life, and maybe some 7s and 8s. So that's what I'm saying. Like I wouldn't say absolutely. He got lit up, but again, it was just a recipe for disaster that entire game. Once you got those odd man rushes right off the hop,
And the
It
Leafs
could've been
did
better.
not. The Leafs did not play a strong defensive game.
No, they
I'm
did not.
not saying they did. I'm saying but there was definitely goals scored in that game that he could have scored and should have scored, which would have helped keep the Leafs in it. Because at one point the game was 5-3.
Yeah.
The Leafs were in that game.
And
Yeah,
then
but that-
what got us out of the game was not Wool's fault.
It was Simmons
It was
taking a
Simmons.
penalty.
Also, before
And then a
that, I have
goal.
another penalty that's not talked about as much. If you guys saw, Bunting and Dylan got into a little scrap, and Dylan drops the
isn't it-
gloves
oh yeah,
and doesn't get a call, but Bunting gets a call for roughing. Correct me if I'm wrong, but once you drop the gloves, that's a fighting call, is it not?
it depends on what happens. If the linesmen get in quick enough, they won't call it fighting.
But he should
I-
have got. He should have. It's fighting, or if he doesn't fight. If he drops the gloves, it's a different call, isn't it not?
I thought it was, but they may have changed it. I'm not sure.
Because they were both going at it. Bunting still had his stick and gloves on. Dylan threw his stick and his gloves off. Bunting gets a roughing call. Dylan gets nothing.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
The calls in that game were just terrible.
But I'm just saying that is another one that people aren't talking about. We're gonna get to the stuff everyone's talking about, but I want to bring
Yeah,
up
at that point,
other stuff that was on top of the officiating in the game was a travesty. It was an embarrassment to the NHL, and I've been telling you guys about this off air, but Brad Myers, the ref for this game, should be suspended. And we'll talk about if you agree with me on that or not after we go through the rest of the penalties. But that was disgusting how this game was officiated. Starting with, I believe the Dylan Bunting thing was before Matthews and Matthews and what's his name?
Pierre-Luc Dubois.
Thank you, Dubois.
Yeah, because that was the second period at the 6:18 mark.
Thank you. So that was
what was
the
roughing for Bunting and Dylan didn't get anything.
Okay. Yeah.
So that was the first thing I noticed, and that was before I was yelling and screaming. I'm like, "Are you freaking kidding me?" Because he had his gloves off. I'm like, I mean, I understand Bunting can get 2 minutes for roughing, but how does he get nothing? He dropped the gloves. That's a call. That may not be fighting because he didn't fight, but once you drop the gloves, that's normally. I can't I've seen it called before, and it's like I can't remember what it. But you know what I mean? Like that's supposed to be a call, is it not?
Brandon, where you've seen it before?
What?
Brandon, where you've seen it before is in the movie Goon.
I've also watched. You've never seen someone drop the gloves in hockey and get a call?
I've never seen one of two players drop the gloves and the one guy go. Never seen it in the NHL. It's probably happened. Yeah. I have personally never seen it.
I've seen it before, and both should have got penalties, but there's no reason in hell Bunting should have gotten the only penalty there. Makes zero sense, because they were both going at each other, and then he decided to throw his stick and his gloves down. And then the only reason he didn't punch Bunting is because the linesman got in the way.
Now, so I only caught the tail end of it because like the camera didn't catch it. When Dylan throws his gloves down, was it because I saw them kind of wrestling and they kind of fell to the ice?
Yeah.
Did he get up and throw them down?
The second he throws them off, he skates towards Bunting and the linesman, stops him.
Okay, so that's different because it's out of like if you're down the ice and the whistle goes and you're backed up and you throw them down, but you can't get to them, they're not going to call it a fight because it's not a fight.
Yeah, so it's not a fight. So, but
they should have been 2 and 2 for 2 and 2 for roughing at most.
Yeah,
or don't take either of them.
So that's what boggles my mind. Maybe not fighting because he didn't fight, but he threw his gloves off, threw his stick down. They were both getting in each other. How is Bunting the only one to get a penalty there?
I'm gonna jump in. I'm gonna jump in here real. So usually, so I'm reading the rules right now for 5-minute majors for fighting. You have the instigator and you have the aggressor. I saw it once in one of my games where I saw a player get both, which is unheard of.
Aggressor and instigator?
Wow.
Both, yeah. Like he threw down ready to fight. The other player skated away, and he skated up and started punching him in the back of the head. Like so, they're like,
Wow, that's
but the instigator is when one player was determined to start the fight.
Okay.
Here's a list of what the NHL defines as instigator of a fight. I'm not going to read you all of them. I'm going to read you the one that matters. And the one that matters is gloves off first. Clearly dropped their gloves to fight without waiting to see if their opponent was willing to fight.
Okay, so
in the NHL rules, that is if a player is determined to have instigated a fight, they will receive a 2-minute minor penalty, a 5-minute major penalty, and a 10-minute game misconduct. That's 17 minutes in penalty.
2, 5, and 10. But
if a player is determined to have instigated a fight, so it's a little bit of a blurred line there. However, it straight up says if you throw down your gloves first before your opponent, you are the instigator. They could have gave him a 2-minute instigating penalty fight.
Yeah.
They could. So this is where that blurred line comes in. Is to get that instigator, there has to be punches thrown.
No. Clearly dropped their gloves.
Fighting.
Clearly dropped their gloves to fight without waiting to see if their opponent is willing to fight.
So that's that blurred line. They won't call it until there's a punch thrown.
But that's fighting.
That's what I'm saying.
Fighting is different than instigating.
They should be giving a 2-minute penalty for instigating. That's what should have been handed out.
So
I'm just saying that's why they didn't call it though. Is there was not a punch thrown.
Just chalk it up as one missed call.
Okay.
Yes.
That's one miss. One.
And
it's not even just a missed call. It's a missed call for Winnipeg, and then a call against Toronto that shouldn't have been a call. It should have been a 4-on-4, if anything. So that's one stupid thing. The next one is we already talked about Matthews and Dubois. That's another stupid thing. And do you want to get into the meat and potatoes of it?
And then there's the highlight of the
two
comes down to
So Pionk on Sandine.
Yeah.
Fuck Neil Pionk.
Okay.
So he comes in. Sandine takes a shot, and Pionk comes in. Knees on him. Sandine's out 3 to 4 weeks. Thankfully, it looked
2 to
way
3.
worse.
2 to 3 weeks.
Sorry, I'm thinking Marner. 2 to 3 weeks. Looked way worse. And
It did.
even Keefe said, he's like, I can't remember the quote, but he said something like, it looked worse than it looked a lot worse, and thankfully it's only going to be a 2 to 3 week thing. So that's good.
Yeah.
No call.
Nope.
Right in front of the ref.
Yep.
Clear knee on knee. But no, it's fine. Whatever. Oh,
Yeah.
the guy can't get up. Oh, okay.
This entire game can be pointed back to the ref, right? And I've tried defending the refs a little bit. It's an entire mentality that needs to be changed.
Not this game.
This I think if we want to start changing mentality, we start number one by firing the 2 refs.
Yeah. Funny, I told you.
Because
I think I told you this. Brad Myers, who is the ref in this one, one of the refs in this one, he also he's the main guy he was the main guy. But this officiating team was the same team who officiated Game 2 of the Bruins and Leafs in 2019, the game where Kadri got suspended because he got angry because the Bruins were getting away with murder. Then he got angry and hit somebody, and I believe it was the head. One of them was a head
cross-checked the Brusk right in the face.
That was the cross-check one. Yeah, I'm thinking of the year after. But yeah, he got angry because the Bruins were getting away with absolute murder, and then he got angry, did something stupid, got suspended. Same officiating team. Same bad officiating.
Yeah, I heard
this guy should be suspended. He can't do his job.
He shouldn't be. So I was one of the Steve Dangle videos I was listening to. I heard similar things there too. But no, I disagree. He should not be suspended. He should be fired. This guy should be relieved of his job. He should be the NHL. If you want to point to where the issue starts, point right there.
Yeah.
But
the refs have no repercussions for whatever they do. There should be, there's nobody to go to the ref and sit him down and be like, hey, the fuck is this shit? You didn't call that? You called that? You didn't call this? Game got insanely out of hand. Two people got long-term injured. Well, he's not long-term injured. Could have been long-term injured.
Not Dubois.
Pionk. Could have been 2 people.
He's in concussion protocol. He could be out for who knows.
Yeah, one person's in concussion protocol. Another person could have had a season-ending injury. Thankfully, not. Mm-hmm. Wool almost also got kneed in the head, but he was out of the crease. But
that was his fault.
I'm just saying, it kept getting out of hand. Multiple fights.
Yeah.
It got completely out of hand, and it's all this guy's fault. And whatever, doesn't have to write a report, doesn't have to face the media, doesn't have a fine or suspension. Just I guess you'll be reffing next week.
And that's the worst part, right? Is there should be some sort of repercussion for missing that
many, not that many. Brutal call right in front of your face.
The fact that Jason Spezza,
who has never
did not get a call,
never been suspended in his whole career, by the way.
No, neither is Pionk.
But Spezza's a 1,200 game player.
Yes, he is. Yes, he is a 1,200 game player. That is correct.
And he's never been suspended in his entire career.
Okay, but take that out of context. I don't care about that right now. We're talking about on the ice.
Okay.
We're talking about the refs calling the game.
Yep.
That absolutely, at minimum, should have been a penalty. And I don't care what the penalty was. Give him too many men on the ice, right? Give him tripping, slashing, hooking,
Nothing.
and anything. Delay a game. Just throw a penalty at him some way.
But
traveling, I don't care.
Absolutely,
it should have been a penalty.
Yeah.
So should that knee on knee. And if that knee on Pionk to Sandine had been given a penalty, I don't think Spezza's hit would have happened.
No, it wouldn't have.
I honestly don't think that the hit would have happened. But there was no penalty given. The play continued. And Spezza jumped on the ice, was angry about what had happened. And that kind of speaks to it as well. He's a 1,200 game player. In 1,200 games, he has never thrown a dirty hit. He has never been suspended. And it took for, I don't know if he was the youngest guy in that game.
He is.
But I would say he was the youngest consistent this year. It took for him getting injured and pretty much trying to crawl and skate to the bench for Jason Spezza to stand up and turn dirty, throw a dirty hit like.
Did you see?
And that speaks volumes.
Did you see the bench reaction when Sandin got hit?
Yeah, Spezza was the angriest.
Oh yeah, no call.
So
that's disgusting.
I agree. It should have been a call. It was absolutely intentional, knee on knee to injure. And anyone who says it was not intentional is an absolute idiot. And I would honestly say, like, get your eyes checked and watch it again and watch it again and watch it again, because it was the most intentional knee on.
Yeah.
And it was blatant, but Spezza, how angry he was on the bench, jumping over the bench onto the ice, no matter where Pionk was on the ice, he was going to hit him.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it didn't matter if it was a clean hit or a dirty hit. I bet you it didn't matter if Pionk had the puck or not. Spezza was looking for blood.
Yeah.
He came in hot and he hit him. Yeah. If Pionk didn't have the puck and he was nowhere near it, Spezza would have slashed in the back of the leg or done something. Like, it didn't matter what the situation was. He was going to hit him. And I think he stepped on the ice, coming at him full speed. At the last second, Pionk dropped down to the ice without a stick to get the puck. And Spezza laid his knee.
Yeah.
I don't think when Spezza stepped on the ice, his intention was to put his knee into Pionk's head.
I think his intention was not a dirty hit, but I'm going to lay this guy out. And
he was going to make him pay for it.
Yeah, he was going to lay the guy out. But he didn't.
I bet you it was going to be dirty though.
But like not knee to the head. He was
not knee to the head, no. But it was going to be dirty.
Oh yeah, he was intentionally like, I'm gonna fucking hurt this guy.
Yes.
Yeah, and you know what? I said the same thing. I said it to you guys. I'm like, when dirty hit, Spezza should have been suspended for it. But for the people saying, oh, you should have had more control, I'm like, if I was playing a game with you guys, and somebody took out one of you guys, and you had to go to the hospital, and the ref couldn't even be bothered to make a call, I'm fucking going after him.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So the only thing I have against that hit, though, for Spezza, is Pionk is already on his knees. He's making a play for the puck. So, to me, he's fair game, because the same thing that I argued with the suspension with Landeskog earlier with Kirby Dodge. Mm-hmm. But this is going to be the same thing that they said about Landeskog. Is he comes in full speed, he tries to lower himself to his level and still goes through him. And he comes a long way to make that hit.
Yeah.
So right there, that's I don't care if he's never been suspended before. That hit, and I said this to James before we go on, knee on knee in the past as a first-time offender, it's been 2 games. So that's why I see their understanding of giving Pionk 2. Should it be 2? No, it should be a minimum 5 to start. But the fact that Spezza did that, and it's a knee, unfortunately it's a knee to the head, but he still was going to make that hit regardless. Mm-hmm. And he could have pulled up before even making that hit and try to cross-check him or pile through him and go for the body. But he just leans into it and tries to get to that level. That's why it's 6. I know he's appealing it. It might get dropped to maybe 4 because there's been no prior history. But I agree, it should either be 5 or 6. It should stand somewhere in there. Because if you want, as James said, if we want to change the culture, it's got to be that way. But the same thing for kneeing. It's got to be 5 in a game on the spot. And it's got to be a minimum of a 5-game suspension. Because go back into the early 90s, Olaf Samuelsson does the same, almost the same thing, if not more egregious to Cam Neely, and it ended his career. So we got to stop that. And I saw something from a TikTok from Hockey Illuminati, and he said it perfectly. There should be, we can challenge offsides, we can challenge goal interference. For those kind of scenarios, coaches should be able the challenge or throw a challenge flag, whatever you want to call it, for the ref to go back and look at that exact play, and then it should be able to go, okay, that was a major penalty. You're gone from the game. That's 5, 10, C, and 5. That should be how it goes down.
The problem is, it's not like the refs missed it. They're watching it. They're ignoring it. That's the big issue.
But if you ask for a challenge, they have to go back and look at it. So if they don't get it a second time, then that shows right there they're a complete idiot.
They only challenge when there's a goal, though.
Yeah.
As of right now, yes.
That's what I mean. So that's the thing. There was no goal that happened because of that hit. So there's no need so they can't challenge it. Right now, you can only challenge something on a goal. Yeah, but you can only.
I'm saying they have to change. They got to change that rule.
Okay.
So
you shouldn't even have to challenge it. Don't we have people in Toronto watching the games for player safety and
it's
stuff?
the same
but,
thing.
But they deal with it after the game.
But
during the game, they can't do anything.
They should be able to call up and be like, you missed assault.
No, you can't, because 30 seconds, a minute later, 2 minutes later, you can't stop the game and be like, oh, by the way, we're pulling you off and giving you a penalty. Then that is there are people on the ice to do that. It is up to them to do it.
You know how you solve that? You make the refs have repercussions for not doing their job. And
not necessarily. Like I do agree with you saying that. Yes, whether it's a report, whether it's a press conference or a questioning, yes. But Drew Doughty was out for 6 to 8 weeks at the beginning of the season, and prior to getting on here, I went back and I watched the hit that the knee on knee that he took that took him out for 6 to 8 weeks. The guy who hit him was given a game misconduct and a 4-minute major penalty. Mm-hmm. So it's not the refs in general. This game happened to be because of those refs in particular. But watching, like I said, with the Sandine one, I went back and watched this out. And the rest made the right and the hit on Doughty was nowhere near as intentional as the Pionk hit.
Yeah.
So if the refs were doing their job in that game against Winnipeg, they would have kicked him out of the game right then and which would have never had the Spezza hit, which means he would have gone probably his whole career without ever being suspended. So you can't say if the refs had a post-game interview. No. In that case, it was purely just the refs not doing their job. They have 60 minutes to call the game, and they did none of that.
No, I agree. What I was getting at is if it was a precedent that the refs had post-game interviews and stuff like that, then they're more likely to call the game properly, and if they're more likely to call the game properly, that is called normally. So,
I honestly don't think post-game interviews would change anything, and I don't think it's the right way to go.
Why?
I agree. I agree with you. Whether it's a post-game interview or a report, because I know, Brandon, you talked about that in the past, doing just something where they have to explain themselves.
Why?
Right? I'm not saying get in front of a crowd.
No, fine. But why? I want a report saying, why did Matthews and Dubois get a penalty there?
Why didn't Spezza get one?
Why didn't he get one? Why didn't Pionk get one? Why did Bunting get a roughing call, but Dylan dropped the gloves and didn't get a call?
Yeah.
And the ref's just I'm gonna walk away. No punishment, no responsibility. Get paid your $100K a year and don't have to do your job.
The worst thing is there's been one ref fired because of a hot mic saying he wanted to call a makeup call.
And I guarantee
I'm okay with a ref doing that but you got to see games like that.
I'm not okay with that.
How could you be okay with that?
Because a lot of times with makeup calls, the balance out a shitty call.
You're calling the game unfairly. Yeah. One team gets one penalty means we got to give one to the other team. Oh, they're playing a clean game.
I'm not saying
there we go. Let's give them one
the entire way. But if let's say the other official blows a call, bumbles it. It's an unwritten rule that again it should be changed. But I'd rather them balance it out so that way both teams have the same opportunity. Even because one official messed up. But in these kind of scenarios, if you're going to fire him for that, then you got to fire these two for what they just did.
They should be fired 100%.
They absolutely should be fired for that.
For that
So
game.
They
That's
should
what
be the same way Spets is being sat down in a Zoom in-person meeting. The NHL should be sitting these two refs down, watching 60 minutes of hockey, and saying, "Why wasn't that one called? Why wasn't that one called? Why wasn't that one called?" And like, I'm not talking. And don't release this to the public. Don't make a press report about it. Just straight up, Bettman and these refs, or whoever's in charge of refereeing, and the refs that called that game should be sitting down, reviewing that game, and going over every single call they made and every single call that should have been made. And if there are more calls that should have been made than calls made, you are fired. See you later. You suck.
You know what the
And
NHL,
that's what should happen.
you know what the NHL should do? And it's not post-game interviews or whatever. They should announce, because everyone's pissed off about the officiating. All this year, people have been pissed about the officiating this year. The NHL should announce at the end of this year, they will be doing essentially what do you call it? An audit, so to speak, on the officiating, right? And you don't say we're looking at this game. Just announce due to some officiating this year and due to some issues, we will be doing an audit at the end of this year. We may have some change in staff. It is to ensure the safety of our players and the game, and that's it.
Yeah.
And that way, the refs are like, oh, fuck, okay, and that's all you do. And then at the end,
I agree.
and that's all they'd have to do. And then you do it all behind closed doors, and then the refs all know we're under a microscope now.
Yeah,
That's all they have to
I
do.
agree.
The other thing I want the NHL to do, though, is get rid of George Peros as the player safety guy.
Oh, my God, yeah.
Because he is horrendous. I hate the Leafs for hiring Brandon Shanahan, because Sheriff Shanny was the best at the job. Those breakdown videos and how he broke down every little thing, we got to get someone else like that in there.
He was good.
Peros is he's awful. Because Subban now has gotten away with 3 slew foots this year already.
Yep.
Ian Cole just had a knee on knee the other night. He only got a fine. So how can, like, Pionk's suspension hands down. But if I'm Pionk, yeah, it's a dirty play, but I'm sitting there going like, well, that knee on knee and my knee on knee, how do I get a suspension? He only gets a fine. Like, that's where I'd be sitting and thinking about it. Or Yanni Hockenpah for the one on Doughty. Like, you're sitting there, okay, what is going on here? So, like, you can't have that.
At least Hockenpah, though, was kicked out of that game.
Yeah.
Exactly. But that's the refs doing that's not Peros.
Correct. But like we talked about, though, that one wasn't nearly as intentional.
No, and I'm not trying to take that side of it out, but I'm just saying, like, you have one guy that gets fined, you got one guy that gets suspended, then you look at the slew foots. I know it's Marchand, but he gets a 3-game suspension, but Subban's just as big known for slew foots, but he's only been fined and gotten away with 3.
But let's see what happens to the next one, though.
Flipping a coin, man.
So
Exactly.
here's my thing about. I'm glad as a Leaf fan, I'm pissed that he got 6 games, right? Especially because Pionk's hit caused injury. It was intentional and dirty.
I think that
You
should
look
be
at Spezza's. It was intentional. It was dirty. It did not. Well,
he played the rest of that game.
He's in concussion protocol, exactly. So, like, how bad is that actual? How bad is that concussion protocol?
It's mostly
right?
it's to be safe kind of thing. Whereas Sandy couldn't walk.
Yes.
The other thing though too is, remember, concussions can hit people differently. So he might have been okay there.
Absolutely, they can.
Be out for months, so we don't know yet.
I'm sorry, we're getting off track here. What I'm trying to say is, I'm glad, as a fan of hockey, Spezza got 6 games. I am upset that he's appealing it. As a Leaf fan, I'm happy he's appealing it. As a fan of hockey, I am upset that he's appealing it, because he is a 1,200 game veteran who has never been suspended, and he has been handed out 6 games for a deliberate headshot. The next time somebody goes for a deliberate headshot, they can look at Spezza's and be like, here's a 6-game suspension. Here's a 6 game. Like they can set precedent with what happens to Spezza. With him appealing it though, I feel like that kind of it shows other people, hey, you can headshot somebody and appeal it. We'll see what happens with the appeal process. We'll see if he gets a game less than suspension. But I feel like if I hope the NHL stands firm on it and says no, this is 6 games. Anyone moving forward from this point who does this gets 6 games. If you are a repeat offender, the minimum is 10 games. Right? And that's what I'm hoping. And I said it last week with Marchand getting the slew. I know that Subban's got, but I'm hoping that with Marchand getting 3 games with it, this is the start of them actually starting to do something. Starting to change the mentality, starting to change the penalization, that if you slew foot somebody like that in a dangerous way, you're going to get a 3-game suspension. Is it unfortunate that it was Marchand? No. I think he deserved getting a suspension. Subban's gotten away with it for long enough. Next time he does one, he should get a 3-game suspension.
Yes.
So I got 2 quick things.
Go for it.
The first one is Subban, the last slew foot happened after the Marchand suspension, and he still got nothing. Not even a fine.
Okay.
So the one thing that pissed me off is because Perros played with Subban in Montreal. I don't know if that has something to do with it. So I don't want to start slinging mud or saying that shit because we don't know what goes on there.
Yeah.
The second thing is you can appeal to get your suspension reduced. What if you put in a rule, if you're like the Leafs, you were able to appeal the Pionk suspension to try to get it, or maybe not appeal it, but challenge it to get more games added? Would you think that could be something that could work down the road?
No.
No? Okay.
No. Because why wouldn't every team do it?
Yeah.
That's true. Then you're going to start bungling up the system and... it's something to hit.
The only reason I would kind of like that idea at first, but you're completely right, that wouldn't work, is I'm more pissed about Spezza getting 6 games because of the fact that Pionk only got 2 when his caused injury, his was the start of the fucking shit happening. Didn't even get a call. So if the penalties were closer together, I'd be less mad. But the fact that Spezza got 6 and Pionk got 2, I think is horseshit.
It's because it's a headshot, and with everything that happened with Sidney year, they have really cracked down on it. Going even before. Look at Scott Stevens, right? He pretty much ended Paul Correa's career.
I agree.
He did heavy damage to his career. So they have, in the last 20 years, they've really cracked. And when you drive your knee through a player's face, you have to crack down. That's why I agree with it.
If Spezza got 6 and Pionk got 4, I would have been less angry. But the fact that he only got 2, I think is stupid.
So here's an idea that I thought of this today, and it will never ever happen, ever. I'll say that right now. It will never ever happen. But what if you are being able to be improved, or if it's able to be proven that you intentionally injured a player like that? Because in my opinion, Pionk intentionally drove his knee through Sandin's to injure him.
Absolutely.
Should the player be suspended the same length that the other player is injured?
I think that is absolutely should be the case.
But only on hits where it's 100% proven, without doubt, that he intended to hit him in that way or intended to injure.
Like if that's the case, I would have agreed because Spezza should have got how many games Pionk's out for his concussion protocol.
No, Spezza should have got 6 games.
I think it should be minimum like it's 6 or longer depending. You know what I mean?
And so because Pionk being out 2 games,
that's not
enough. Why doesn't somebody else do it?
Yeah. I love Spezza.
Why don't you run Adam Fox's knee straight on?
Yeah.
Or Drew Doughty's again, or Kel McCarr, right?
I totally agree.
Why not absolutely wreck their legs, take them out for 6 to 8 weeks so you can sit 2 games?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Hey Nick Ritchie, you want to make $2.5 million? go find Kel McCarr next game and blow out his knee so you don't play him in the playoff.
I agree.
The only reason why I don't think that would work in a sense is because who is going to be able to determine that it's was intent?
Anybody watching Pionk hit Sandin.
Yeah.
No,
I
know. But this is what I'm saying though, because at that point there's going to be a review. You're going to have a call with the player. You're going to ask the player his side of things. You get a different story there. You could get a different story from other people. So that's going to be the thing. You would have to find like strict guidelines, kind of like what we looked at. Where's the position of the body? Where's the extension of the knee? Where's the contact? Like, is the foot planted? Is the foot lifted? Like, you got those are the different things. So if you're gonna do it, there's got to be it's got to be black
without
white,
a shadow
no gray.
of a doubt.
And with today's technology and the amount of camera angles they have, watching that Pionk one,
intent.
His upper body did not. If they were skating towards each other, Sandin was in open ice. Pionk could have had a highlight reel hit on Sandin and absolutely laid him out center ice. But he didn't. He proceeded to skate past Sandin, made no effort to have body-to-body contact except for extending his knee outward to directly hit Sandin's leg as he was taking a shot, or as he was coming off of taking a shot. That video broken down from every angle shows that Pionk intentionally stuck his knee out with the purpose of injuring Sandin. In a case like that, you could break it down from any angle and say, this was intentional. He meant to hit him, knowing it would cause injury.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying though. You're like just like how you laid it out there.
Black and white.
It's got to be black and white because if you leave any gray spot, they'll find it and it will be all over the place.
Only if there's like without a shadow of a doubt. Like if
you have a committee.
Yeah, if there's any doubt, then no, it's just like a normal suspension thing.
Yeah, but you have a committee, just kind of like you do. You kind of like the way you have an Hall of Fame committee, right? You have some people in the NHL, some people in the media. You get a couple fans, and you got a big committee of people review this hit. Yes or no, was it intentional?
Yeah.
You're not no notes other than yes or no.
Yeah. And if it's all yeses,
here's your checklist. If you check off 5 out of the 6 at the very least, done.
Yeah. It has to be an overwhelming majority.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah. And that should be the case.
I can get on board with that.
Yeah. Guys, we should move on to something a little happier. We have one more game to talk about, actually. We got the Columbus game to talk about. Bye, James.
Can I just say one more thing about the Winnipeg thing?
Go for it, buddy.
One thing I do want to see next game is Logan Stanley, Wayne Simmons, center ice.
Yeah, because the refs wouldn't allow it.
Well, because the only reason I want to see it is because when Stanley jumped in to help out Morrissey, because
the third guy
Morrissey tried to fight Simmons, that's a bad career decision.
Dude, I like that.
But Stanley gets pinned against the boards, which the lineman has all right to do, but the other lineman did not get Simmons' right arm, and Simmons got a couple punches in. Stanley couldn't really do anything about it, so I just want to see them square off. That's the only thing I want to see.
I want to see him square off, especially because he was the third guy into that, and he tried to get at Simmons, and then he skated away. There's 3 Winnipeg players on Simmons, and then he skates away going like this, like I'm the champion. I'm like, you bitch.
No, he was just doing it to fire up the crowd. He was doing it to fire up the crowd.
Yeah, but come on. Like, you think you're cool? Oh, man, I hope Simmons lays him out.
His name's Logan Stanley. Of course he's cool.
Anyway,
his last name goes with the Stanley Cup.
Anyway, guys, we got one more game. We spent quite a bit on that Winnipeg game, which I'm not surprised.
Not surprised with what went down.
Columbus game we can get through pretty quickly. Nice.
I'll go first.
All right, go for it, buddy.
I'm upset with the fact the Leafs let by 4 goals. They absolutely hounded the Blue Jackets. They really, really put the boots to them in the first period. they kind of let off the gas pedal a little bit, and yeah, I wasn't happy with how that game ended. I will say though, there was one penalty that they absolutely killed.
Yes.
Yeah, Columbus had a power play there, and I don't think they even got a shot on net, to be honest.
That was the second period, correct?
Yes.
I don't remember when it was. I just know that the Leafs absolutely shut them down every single angle. I don't know if they got a shot on net. And then Columbus pulled the goalie with 3 minutes left. And other than the 0.5 seconds left, they got a goal. The Leafs shut them down well, and Campbell had an absolutely insane paddle save with his stick to save that game for us.
As somebody with Campbell and their fantasy team, very pissed at that fourth goal.
I liked it because I'm playing against you.
It can't be worse than my goal. You're okay.
Yeah, but I was like, yeah, come on, you gotta be kidding me. Like
it can't be worse than my goaltender.
No,
I had Mrazek in that game going, so let's not say anything here.
Grubauer. Yeah. 4 goals on 3 shots. No, other way around. 3 goals on 4 shots.
That sounds like my stat.
Let me know how your stats are doing. Yeah. Other than that, though, I got nothing for the Columbus game. I mean, I think I win it. Did win it.
Yep.
That's all I have to say for it.
There's 2 highlights I want to bring up. The Bunting passing to Matthews was just beautiful.
Oh, it was insane.
Oh, buddy.
It was okay.
It was, are you kidding me? And you know what? It was not at all by fluke or unintentional.
No. Between the legs,
takes the look over his shoulder.
behind the back pass.
Brent, it wasn't a no look. He did. He was standing there. He glanced, saw Matthews breaking in. You see him glance up, see Matthews breaking in, sees the puck, and drops it between his legs, knowing that Matthews it wasn't a no look. He knew he was coming down, and he fired that puck out in time for Matthews to get it in.
It was
good. Zero fluke, 100% skilled play.
Beautiful.
Yes.
I love Michael Bunting, man. I love him. Oh my God. We got him for 2 years. I'm so happy.
I know. 2 years at nothing.
I know.
Yeah, wait till his next contract.
And Kasha, and Campbell, and half the Leafs.
Well,
I heard
I don't want to talk about this offseason because I'm scared. But
I know.
This is going to be a rough offseason. But we're not going to talk about that because they're doing really good right now. And, I'm going to be happy this year.
Yeah. We'll talk about the offseason in the offseason.
In April.
Yeah.
Yes.
June. My other I kind of spoiled this beforehand. I really shouldn't have brought it up beforehand. But somebody scored this game.
Oh, Nick Ritchie.
Nick Ritchie with his first of the year.
Finally. I think I forget what game it was against. I think it was the Ducks game. 2 weeks ago or a week and a half ago. They pulled up a stat of how many projected goals players are supposed to get versus how negative they are on their projected goals. And I think it was, if I remember, it was against the Ducks. And the Ducks had a player who was negative 6.8 goals this year. Number 1 on the list, 6.8 goals negative. Number 2 on the list was Nick Ritchie, negative 5. He was number 2 on the should have scored, has not yet. And so I'm glad he finally got his goal. Yeah.
It wasn't even a greasy goal. It was good. It was a good shot.
It was. And I heard today or this week. Did you know that Nick Ritchie and Kasha used to be line mates in Anaheim?
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was on the Steve Dangle podcast. I heard that apparently the Camp and Kasha are playing together, who used to be line mates way back in the day, and then on Anaheim, Ritchie and Kasha.
That's cool.
So there's a lot of chemistry going on with those three.
That's good.
Well,
And
'cause
they look good.
the reason why the Bruins went after Nick Ritchie was because of that. Because they had Kosh, they were hoping he was going to come back healthy,
Yep.
try to spark something. But Kosh, unfortunately, kept just getting hurt, and Ritchie for that system just didn't fit. So
It's working.
they're working well for Toronto.
Richie's
It's
been playing well
working
the last
this
2
year.
weeks. The last 2 weeks, I've really liked Richie.
Oh, he's been playing
Good.
very, very well. And you know what? I also heard. So what did I keep saying about Richie? If he could get 1 point every other game, would his contract be worth it? In the last 8 games, he has 6 points.
Good.
Yeah, both of you. So if he can
I need to see
kind
a
of,
bigger sample size.
I do too. However,
He's looking good.
not
Right
not
now,
bad.
he's at a $2.3 million player, not 2.5.
Really?
Still
All right,
overpayment.
we'll see how it goes.
He's looking pretty decent.
The last. Go ahead, Brandon.
I was just gonna say, I also really liked how Matthews scored 7 seconds after Tavares scored.
Oh yeah.
I was still enjoying they were still announcing the goal. I turned to look at my fiance, and then Matthews scored. I'm like, what?
they hadn't even announced the Tavares goal.
Yeah, it was the horns and everything were still going. And
They
then
hadn't even announced the Tavares goal, and Matthews had scored. It took them
7 seconds.
29 seconds to announce both goals. I know that because there was about 30 seconds left in the period, and by the time they finished announcing Matthews, there was 1 second left, and then the buzzer went.
That's great.
29 seconds to announce both goals because they happened in that. And then you can't. Best save of the season might be Campbell's glove save. That
Oh my god, yeah.
he had the paddle save, but that glove save was absolutely
Oh
insane.
my god, yeah. He's so bloody good,
Like
man.
insane glove save.
Are you still seeing dollar signs every time he makes a save like that?
Yes, 6 million. I think he's getting between 6 and 7 million.
Yeah, he deserves it, man.
Let me rephrase. I think he's getting $6 and $7 million on the free agency.
But because he's such a teddy bear, he's going to give Toronto a discount.
If I was, I'm torn. If I was him, I would sign a 1-year deal for like $2 million. But on the other end, I would also sign an 8-year deal for $5 million.
How old is
Or
Campbell?
at least a 7-year.
How
I
old
think he's 29, isn't he?
I would go for him. I'd go term then. I would definitely go for term.
That's what I'm saying. Like, if you want to win a Stanley Cup, this might be the team to do it.
Will it though after this year?
Next year, possibly, yeah.
Well, with the
Why not?
Riley contract, they have to
Yeah.
do somebody big. They have to.
Yeah,
They have
okay.
to.
Get rid of Kerfoot.
That's not big.
It's
3.5?
big enough. It's $3.5 million.
Yeah, but with Riley's contract and then Campbell's contract, unless he does what you say,
Yeah,
but at
so,
29
but-
years old, you're going for term.
Yeah, see, and he probably is. And the only advantage the Leafs have is they can offer 8th year.
You completely cut
Right?
it there. Could you say that again?
The Leafs can offer him an 8th year,
Yes.
whereas other teams can only offer him 7.
Yes.
That's how we were able to get Riley for the price we did.
Yes.
Because they offered him that 8th year.
So I think if they offer him 8 at 4, he would take it because he would, like you said, he would take. He would.
I'd
He's
say-
at 4.
I'd say minimum 4.5.
But he
He's
might
getting
do
minimum 5.
I think open market he could get
6.
6.5 to 7.
Right now with his stats, yes. But I'm thinking because he's making 1.5 right now, they might be able to sweet talk him into taking 4, but probably not. I'm just saying the minimum he's getting is 4. So if you're going for term and you give him 8 years at 4, he may take it. Probably not. But that's what you have to account for. That's an extra $3.5 million on your. I can't do math. $2.5 million.
Yeah, but if you were to lose Kerr, plus you have the Kessel contract, which is 1.2, right? So there's a couple things moving. You could, if the season keeps going the way it is going, could move Mrazek, keep Wool as your secondary. I don't think he's ready this year,
But maybe next year.
but he could be next year, right?
Right.
there's a lot of things happening. All I'm gonna say is, at this point, I trust Dubas.
I don't know if I trust Dubas, but I definitely don't want to talk contracts until postseason.
I don't either. I don't
Yeah,
either.
I'm trying to enjoy
The only
this
thing
year.
I have to say about Campbell is don't be surprised if by the off season his agent is looking for a Grubauer-esque contract at 5.9.
If Dubas was smart, he would sign him now.
Yes.
Yes.
A lot of players don't like doing that kind of stuff mid-season because they're
I know.
focusing in on what they're doing right now.
Oh, I 100% agree.
So
but
I agree with you.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, look, that Grubauer contract might have screwed you guys over. Just saying.
Oh, probably did. The way he's
yeah.
playing, every game that goes past, that's another like $50K into his bank account. And if they make headway in the playoffs,
Oh yeah.
with
Yeah.
like if he's the first goalie to get him past the first round, you think he's taking a discount?
Okay, don't look at that. Right now, he's a Vezina.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I'm not gonna say candidate. I'm gonna say he's
the front runner. He's the front runner right now,
like
making $1.5 million, and it's not a flat. Like he was good last year too. He's good
Yeah.
this year. That's what he is at this point. I think we've seen enough of a sample size. This is what he is. He's phenomenal.
I'll say his sample size will end at the end of this year. That's in my. I'm a little more skeptical,
But
right? Because anyone can have a good season,
I get
and
it.
technically he's played
A full season.
he's probably played a season's worth of games right now.
Yeah.
With the Leafs, right?
But
So
it's enough of a sample size to say it's not a flash in the pan. He is a good goalie.
he is, but again, the team has been playing very well this year. They played very well last year. It's not like he's a good goaltender on a bad team.
But he's
a good goaltender on a really good team.
He was playing very well at the beginning of the season when the Leafs were ass, though.
He was.
Yeah. So
He was. I'm
is-
not taking that
yeah.
away. He was. Absolutely. But he's also a very good goaltender on a very good team.
But
So-
that being said, if he makes noise in the playoffs, don't
That-
expect him to take a discount.
No.
I think
No.
Dubas should move heaven and earth to sign him before
Or as early as possible.
because every day it's going
e-
up.
Every game we keep winning, his numbers just going up.
Because I can't think of a game where it's like, oh wow, if we had someone other than Campbell and net, we would have done better. It's typically if we didn't have Campbell and net, this game would have been 7-5 or something like that.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Look at that Columbus game. He had that glove save and that paddle save.
Ridiculous.
If he didn't save those two right there, the game's 5-5.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
No need for an empty net. No need to pull. That was an overtime game.
No.
If that, like they could have pulled it. So yeah, it's one of those things where the earlier they sign him, I think the better. I agree.
Yep.
All right, that's all I have for that Blue Jackets game.
Mm-hmm.
You guys anything?
No,
I got nothing.
I'm pretty good.
All right, so I've got a couple questions I want to ask both of you.
Okay.
I got one question directed directly at you guys, and the rest of them are for both of you guys to answer. So I'll start with Chase. Your directed question.
Okay.
Do you think the Avalanche make the playoffs this year?
Ooh.
I think they do. The last couple of games now that the injuries are kind of balanced out, we're getting a bit more of a sample size of what it looks like when they have a full roster. They're still missing JT Compher in the center slot for the third line, which hurts because he's our best face-off percentage guy before he went down.
Mm-hmm.
I'm still not sold on the goaltending right now. Darcy Kemper has not played up to his ability, but I still think they get in. Are they going to win the Central? Probably not. Minnesota's looking extremely good right now. I'm hoping I'm wrong by saying that. I think they'll get in that 2-3 hole as well, still. But they're not winning the Central, and they're not going to repeat as the Presidents.
No.
No, I agree with that.
There's something that's going on with that team where the defense isn't quite there. I think it's personally since they traded away Ryan Graves, I think what they should have done is before the expansion draft was trade Girard, get a higher return, and then protected Graves to give us more of a defensive structure. But they still make the playoffs, but it's not as high as everyone thought they were, and especially me before the season started.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. All right, Brandon, your directed question.
Yes.
Which is going to be a fun one. I want a quick answer on this. If you could choose the Leafs roster and you had one player to fill, would you rather have Bunting or Hyman?
And we're not.
Now, Hyman at last year's contract. Not this year's. Hyman at last year's.
So we're taking contracts into consideration then?
No, you know what? Take him out. Take him out.
Player versus player.
Player versus player. Would you rather have Bunting or Hyman this year? I know how big you were. But I know you're also pretty big on Bunting. So which one are you thinking?
You know, it might be recency bias, but I think I'd take Bunting.
I would.
I love it. And hey, not taking away from Zach Hyman, I love Zach Hyman on this team. The whole time he was here, I loved him. But Bunting has slotted in that spot, no problem. And he's he's got better. He does what Hyman does with better hands. Hyman doesn't make that pass, that between the legs pass to Matthews.
He may have, but I mean,
he may have, but
it was a good pass.
It was a great pass. Yeah. I feel like Bunting does exactly what Hyman did. Sometimes a bit more. Like he was getting real, like I said with the Brandon Dillon before he dropped the gloves on him. Like he was getting into it with him. He's in scraps all over the place. He was up until 2 weeks ago. He was drawing penalties better than anyone in the league. He gets his goals. He's good on the top line. He gets assists. He goes in the corner, gets the puck. It again might be recency bias, but I take Bunting. I really like him.
Okay. So I now got a couple questions for both you guys, and we're gonna go through these real quick here. Yes or no, Chase? Do the NHL players play in the Olympics?
I'm going to say no now for everything that's gone on with COVID and the whole legal crap that's going on in China. It's a no.
Chase, or sorry, Brand?
I might say no, actually. If them coming out with the quarantine rules for China, I don't think they're going to go. The NHL's not going to want them to go. It's super strict. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, I agree. No, I said it a couple weeks ago.
It's a shame, man. It's a real shame. I don't get why they're doing it in China, where it was the worst.
It's just the way the rotation hit, and they were the best bid at the time.
I think global pandemic would supersede. It's my turn. You'd think, but
it's all about the money China can bring in.
I don't know.
Say you can have it in the next 4-year rotation. We'll swap it out because global pandemic. But whatever.
All right, guys. Next question here. Do you think we've seen the biggest injury of the year so far? Will there be a bigger?
And by biggest injury, you are alluding to the Sandine knee on knee?
No.
What are you alluding to?
Drew Doughty was out longer with a knee on knee, right?
Torn ACL for Sammy Blade from the slew foot from PK.
But do you have a more severe this year? Yes or no?
Yes.
Do you think there would be something more severe than that?
Yes.
I really want to say no. I really do, but I'm with Wilkes. I think there will be something that's going to supersede what we've seen so far.
I would agree with that. Next question. I'm jumping ahead here.
I was going to.
Okay. For an NHL schedule, because we talked about this earlier with the Avs and the Leafs, would you prefer a heavy loaded front end of the season or a heavy loaded back end of the season? Chase, you go first.
Can I throw a bit of a off the board answer?
And say balanced?
No, mid
Okay.
pack. I want the mid part. Jumbo.
I don't think there is a mid. Is there? What team has a mid heavy loaded?
No one, but like
No one does, but that's what I'm saying. That's why I'm going off the board. I'd rather it in the middle of the season.
No.
I can't. I got to pick either front or back.
Because teams either have a heavy loaded front or a heavy loaded back. Right? Look at Boston. You're going to look at Avalanche this year. They're going to have a heavy last 2 months, whereas the Leafs have been hammered these first 2 months.
I'm trying to go off the board here. Man.
I know you are, but that's not realistic. So if you had to choose for the Avalanche, would you rather play a larger portion of your games in the first half of the season or a larger part of the games in the second half?
I would say first half, just because what's happened with the Avs in the last few years have piled up in the back half of the year. Going into the playoffs, they haven't had the roster they wanted. That's the only reason I'm going to say it. You get more rest.
Brandon?
I think I want to say front half should be more filled up, and I think that's true more for playoff contenders. If you catch my drift, like if you are a bona fide contender, you want your second half closer to the playoffs to be less games so that your players are less tired, and if they're less tired, they're less prone to injury. And
correct. Yeah, I agree.
Fair? Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you don't.
All right.
You don't want to be like, okay, well, we're top in the league. Cool, let's have like 5 back-to-backs in 2 months, kind of thing, right?
Well, what was I don't remember on the top of my head. Boston has like a stupid amount of games.
6 games.
Because they played like
16?
6. They have 6 games in hand.
It's stupid.
No, I mean like for the month of March though, they have like a ridiculous amount of games.
Yeah.
I forget what it is, but it's
in 24 days. I think it is.
Yeah.
Like
it's stupid.
Who's making the schedule? Like,
well, you look at the Leafs through, like they've had 6. They'll have 6 back-to-backs in the first half of this season. Like that's a
back, right?
And then 7 in the back half. Yeah, that's a lot to have.
I think what they're doing is they're grabbing the team logo darts and they're just throwing
throwing
at the catcher.
Yeah.
And then that's what they do.
Yeah. And like I don't know if you guys agree with this or not. If a team has a back-to-back, it should be at home.
Yeah, home.
Like, I think you should at least give a team the chance if they're playing a back-to-back, because at the beginning of it, at a back-to-back, you're at a disadvantage, right?
Yeah.
You're playing a back-to-back games, which you can't play starting goal games. You're at a disadvantage. You should not have to travel on top of it.
Yeah, back-to-back or travel is stupid.
You should be able to have back-to-back games at home.
I agree with you in that sense, but the other thing too that I will say, the only other reason why I would say no to that, and the other option I would say is if you're going to do a back-to-back, have it be in like a scenario where it's like when you're in California where you can travel from LA to Anaheim where it's a quick travel, so that way travel's cut down. That's it. Like you got to keep them close together. That's all you got to do.
I get your opinion on that. However, if you're playing back-to-back games, you're tired, you're out, you should at least be able to sleep in your own house, bed, get the rest that you deserve.
I think that becomes a logistical nightmare, though, for the way that the league is, the games balanced.
And you know what? It may be, and that's why they might not do it that way. But at the same time, giving the Leafs 6 back-to-backs in 2.5 months is pretty insane.
Yeah.
No, I fully agree with that. Those should be spread out throughout the entire year.
Yeah.
Not just here's your first 2 months, here's 6. Oh, here's your back 3 months, here's 7. Like, no, spread them out.
All right, I got 2 more questions. They're real quick ones.
Okay.
Do you think we've seen the top play of the year so far, or will there be a better one?
Like top
right?
goal?
Talking about Z. No, not top goal. Talking about top play. So we had Campbell's incredible 2 saves. We've seen Vasilevsky have that stretch save that he had. Zegras had that insane pass on, I think, Sunday or Monday.
Over the net. Yeah.
Yeah, or was it last night? Last night. And then we've seen McDavid on 2 separate occasions skate through 3 players and 4. As well as Colorado. What was his name?
Thank you. Alex Newhook.
Newhook also skated through 3 players, did the same thing that McDavid did. So, in those plays, have we seen the top play of the year so far, or will there be something that tops that? Yes or no? That's all I'm looking for.
That is hard.
Just a yes or no. Have we seen it or have we not?
No.
Okay.
No.
Brandon?
No. There's a lot of season left.
All right. And now my final question. I kept this one for last. There's one more good, Brandon, but Chase, you can answer. If the Toronto Maple Leafs win the Stanley Cup, who is the player that Tavares hands the cup to next?
Matthews.
Chase?
If the season keeps going this way, Campbell.
Ooh.
I think he hands the Stanley Cup to Jason Spezza.
Oh, you pulled the sack of cork move on me on that.
I think with the age that he has, correct me if I'm wrong, Spezza's never won a Stanley Cup.
One Stanley Cup or 2 Stanley Cup finals.
He's never won.
He's never won one in 1,200 games. 38 years old, and like that Minnesota game, he got 3 points on 3 goals. Like he was part of the reason that the team was able to fight back in that game. I think if the Maple Leafs win the Stanley Cup, Tavares should give the cup to Spezza. Spezza can then give it to Matthews. Because I do think Matthews does deserve it at the front.
Yeah.
But I think Spezza gets it second.
Now, quick question, just so I don't want to take too much time on this one, but do you think it's Tavares, he lifts it, shakes it, or does he do the Sakic thing where he grabs it and then just turns right away to Spezza and hands it to him like Sakic to Bork?
No, I think he picks it up and shakes it over his head. Okay. He's been the captain for how many years now?
3 years.
Is it 3, 4 years?
I believe it's 3.
No, it's more than 3. Matthews has been in the league for 3 years, hasn't he?
Matthews was drafted in 2016.
So he's at least 4 or 5. I don't know exactly how many. He's been the captain for a little while now.
Yeah.
So I think he picks it up, he shakes. He was there when they were terrible. He was not terrible, but he was there when the team wasn't good, and he's there now as they are. He got taken out first game last year in the playoffs.
It's 4 years.
4 years?
This is his 4th.
So yeah, I think he picks it up and shakes it over his head, and then I think it goes to Spezza second. And then Matthews, and then maybe Campbell.
If Campbell plays the way he's playing, he should be in the top.
He should be 4th, and then you're probably gonna give it to
Marner or Nylander.
Right? Or whoever's near them.
Yeah.
But I think after Tavares, it goes Spezza.
I like that.
I know I said Campbell, but I have to agree with you. That should be the play.
And no Leaf player will complain.
No,
not a single player will complain if it goes to him second.
One will.
Who?
One will, and it'd be Wayne Simmons because his nickname is Wayne Train, and he deserves a boost.
And he'll get it. He'll get it last.
Actually, you know who will complain? Paul Marner.
Dubas.
Who's Paul Marner?
Marner's dad.
Mitch Marner's dad can go center pops and stick and rotate.
Boo-hoo. So that's all I have for questions. That's it for me here.
I like it.
That's all I've got. I don't know if you guys have anything to say, but I am done with that one.
I do have one thing I literally was just sent. So there is a slight chance right now Arizona does not have a home arena December 20th this year. They owe 1.3 million in state and city taxes, and they need to pay. They need to settle their debt by December 20th, or the city can lock them out of the building, which means no players, no coaching staff, no front office can go in there.
Well, that sucks.
It's the city of Glendale and the city of Arizona, they're cracking down on.
That's crazy, man.
Huh. Some would say you should move the.
Yeah.
At this point,
some would say getting Jack Eichel would be a benefit.
They can't afford him now. They owe 1.3 million.
He's only 10. and a change.
If they can't afford 1.3 to pay back their tax, which goes back to 2020, by the way.
Ouch.
Yeah, because I thought the whole thing was over the postseason that they didn't have an arena, and then they made a deal and got an arena or somewhere.
No,
I
right
don't think they.
now-
I don't think they have an arena for next year.
So like
They don't.
like this season, like the set
This
back
season
half-
they could be screwed.
Oh my god!
So we'll see.
Not
what
even
happens.
this season. 2 weeks.
Yeah, I'm going to call it right now though. Bettman will bail them out,
Yeah.
hands down.
Yeah. He's gonna take
He has
the
to.
money from the Leafs organization. And he's gonna give it to them.
I think what they should do, it's never been done before, relocate a team mid-season.
They're gonna have to. You can't have that.
They're not. They're not gonna do that.
Well, what is he gonna?
They won't do it, but
He-
I think they should.
I
Just
think
go wild with it.
I think you're half right. I think he's gonna bail them out and then move them in the off season.
No.
You think
Quebec
it stays in
City
Arizona?
or
They're
Houston?
literally hemorrhaging money.
No.
They can't
It-
run their organization. They don't know what they're doing.
Yeah, they are, but they're not gonna. They're not. They're not just gonna move them this
They
season.
won't move. No, they won't move them overnight.
Look
during the
at
season.
look at look at Vegas. Look at Seattle.
Well, they're
like,
expansion teams. That's
they're-
different.
Yes, but they were not just added or changed. Look,
No.
okay, look at Winnipeg. It wasn't like, oh, season ended, you didn't make the playoffs. Out you go.
But
See you
it's
later.
not-
Like
it's
that.
not-
That was in talks for years.
But it's not performance based. This team has been hemorrhaging money for years, and now they might get kicked. They're getting kicked out of their own stadium.
they don't have a place to go to though.
I know that
Where are they gonna
Texas
go?
wants a team very badly. I know Quebec City wants a team very badly.
Houston's talking about getting a team, but
Houston does. They have their AHL arena, but it's not big enough to house an AHL team. But they could go to Quebec City, who has an arena.
they're not going to
already
go to
built.
Quebec.
I know they're
I
not
know
going to
Bettman
go. But
doesn't
I'm just
like
saying they
Canada.
have the arena built and ready to go.
They do.
could
They do.
take the team right
But
away.
it's not going to go to Quebec because Bettman doesn't want another or Canadian team.
And it would be another another region, the divisions. Because if you take a team from the
Yep.
Central, put them in Quebec City, then you got to move someone back into the Central,
But you
Yeah.
know what? You know what?
which would
Bettman's
probably
also
be
hates.
Detroit, which they would want.
Bettman also hates losing money, so I don't think he's going to be very happy with bailing them out. And hasn't he done this before? Hasn't Arizona?
If he wanted to move that's the whole thing. If he wanted to relocate the team, he would have done it a couple years ago.
Yeah. There was a
But-
buyer lined up ready to say, hey, I'm with this much money. Give me the team. I'm bringing them here. I'll pay a new arena. I'll move the team. I'll do everything. Here's all. And he said, no, they're not going to Canada.
I am wondering though if this will finally be the straw for Bettman to go. Okay, let's now talk to other states, other cities, to see if we can make it work and get it done in a year or two.
It might.
I hope that's the case. But
Yeah.
the fact that right now they could be without a home rink by
That's
December
That's an
20th,
embarrassment, man.
that's bad.
They could be.
Hey guys, we're running a little late tonight, so do you mind if I go into predictions for next games?
Let's do it real quick.
All right. So we got. Let me just pull up my schedule here. 15. So we got 3 games. We got the Lightning tomorrow night. We got the Blackhawks on the 11th, which is Saturday, and then we got the Oilers on the 14th. What y'all thinking?
3 wins in a row.
Really?
Yeah.
Bold move, Cotton. I have
Yeah.
loss, win, loss.
No, I think it's I think they're hitting 3 in a row on that one.
All right. I say their only win is Chicago.
I think win-win-loss. I think they lose to the Oilers.
I don't. All right, well, we'll see what happens.
We'll see what happens. Anyway, guys, you have any final thoughts before we head off for the night?
I'm all done. That's it.
Chase?
I got nothing.
All right.
Nothing.
Well, everybody, like and subscribe. Check out our Spotify. Check out our YouTube. James actually just set up a TikTok. You had a little talk about the officiating from the Winnipeg game. And we also have our Instagram and our Twitter. So I'll follow all that. We tweet on the Twitter all the time. Instagram posts before every time we post a new video, and sometimes some little extra ones. So follow us on the social media stuff to get some extra stuff from us, and we'll see you guys next week. Have a good night.
Michael better listen to every minute of this.
Good night, everyone.
Night.